Staff Sergeant Daniel Alexander Propst, and I'm an air surveillance officer on the E3. So on the E3, we're responsible for the management of both the IFF identification friend and foe and the radar system on the E3. It's important to me because we really take on a leadership role in our job, and becoming the first one of our kind is important, or a big step towards our career. So whenever we're flying, I'm responsible for both the tracking and identification of our red air threats and making sure that our Blue Force fighters are able to accurately identify and employ weapons on the red forces. Without a sensor operator, we don't have a way of actually identifying or somebody ultimately responsible for the identification of aircraft that are in the AOR. I started out as an air surveillance technician in 2012, and from there I progressed into being an instructor air surveillance technician, and after that I became a senior surveillance technician, and that's when I was selected to become a sensor operator. The opportunity was presented to me about late last year, and at that point in time it was a great opportunity, one, for our career field and myself too, to both grow and develop my leadership. I have never second-guessed my decision to become a sensor operator. So I have grown in a leadership position, because now not only am I responsible for myself and 3 others, it adds that to myself and 4 other people that are all looking up to me, looking for guidance of how to do the job. It means that, one, it opened up a lot of things in our career field. Before, whenever we became a senior surveillance tech, we kind of stopped there and we didn't have anywhere else to go. So it really did open up a lot for our career field and what we can do. It gave us a little bit more career progression and somewhere to look forward to going to. One of the biggest challenges is the position was previously filled by an officer, and all the peers that they're working around and expected to get information from and also work side by side with are also officers. So being able to integrate with those while maintaining professionalism and also actually getting the information I need and putting the reputation out there that we can do the same job, that was one of the more significant challenges that we had to face. I overcame it basically just by being able to do my job proficiently, and whenever we would have conversations about things related to the mission, knowing what I was doing and what I was talking about, establish that rapport with them. Going through the training, that really wasn't anything on my mind that I would be the first one to do it. It was more of accomplish the task at hand and take it one step at a time. And whenever it came down to it, it never really crossed the mind. It's a large step from where I started before I was a sensor operator, but it's a good feeling that the DO and commander of the 961st have entrusted me to come and employ here, as well as whenever we went back to the States for weapons school integration too. One of the things that we're looking to achieve is obviously safely employ, and on a trilateral perspective with all the forces that are here, and make sure that we are able to integrate with our allies in the theater. One of the hardest parts about it was being able to, whenever we start our mission qualification training, to actually get into a lot of the higher level documents that are published and being able to extract that data and provide it at a relative amount and understandable piece for the senior surveillance technicians and the air surveillance technicians that we're working with. One of the hardest parts was whenever we started our mission qualification training, which is the last step in becoming a sensor operator, being able to get into the higher level documents, the operational plans and special instructions and stuff like that, and breaking it down to make it relevant to the air surveillance technicians and senior surveillance technicians, and how it all comes together and matters to them to help them do the job. And I think the difficult going through that difficult part of the training actually prepared me and helped me coming out here to Cope North to execute this mission. If I had to give tips to anybody that's going to follow in my footsteps, it would be whenever you step on the jet, just do the best that you can and get into the documents, know what you're doing, know how to actually execute on the airplane, and just go out there and give it your all. First memory, obviously, is basic training. And what really got me to join is I came from a real small town and I was looking to get out of there. And the military provided a good opportunity both for education and a career, long-standing job. One of the things I'm looking to achieve is becoming a bit more proficient in my job. And also another thing that we strive to do whenever we go to these exercises is to refine and validate our tactics, techniques, and procedures. And these large force exercises are places that we actually work on building those procedures. Some of the things I think is great about our job on the E3 is the people that we get to work with, and then also some of the missions that we get to do. We get to see some very unique things, especially out here in PACOM, being able to work with the other nations out here to include Australia and Japan. Really looking forward to working with both the Japanese and the Australian. We get to work with them a lot. However, bringing it to a large force employment exercise like this really helps strengthen our alliance and what we're doing and how we employ. So the airborne sensor operator controls the IFF and the radar on the jet and is responsible for tracking and identification of aircraft in an AOR. The advantage that it gives the U.S. Air Force is that whenever we're called upon, we're able to provide both a deep look surveillance and command and control for fighters and being able to ID threats early to allow them to mitigate it. It's a very unique feeling. It's brought a lot of attention and it was never expected whenever it happened. But it's a good feeling that I was entrusted to be the one to do it. I think participating in Cope North is really going to help expand my knowledge and my ability to work with the Japanese and Australian counterparts, both in the sense of giving me an idea of how they employ their platforms, as well as what they can bring to the battlefield.